microphone is off, just so you know. Your microphone is off.
Hello. Can you hear me?
I think it's coming through your headphones, to be honest with you. Check on the top there where it says settings, maybe. Because it sounded much better before. There you go. That sounds beautiful.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, and welcome to an all-new episode of 430 CTZ with my co-host Peter William, singular. I got that wrong last time, but
it's all right. We're getting there.
we just keep moving forward. So, Peter, tell me about this exciting news that NASA is breaking to us.
Yes. So last night I saw this this article. It's like, oh yeah, on Monday morning NASA is gonna break the news about this amazing new discovery, blah blah blah. And so I was like, oh great, awesome. I'm gonna I'm gonna get on NASA TV and see that tomorrow morning. And of course, like I'm on there, I'm waiting, and it says like Eastern time. I don't know what they said. They said they're like, oh yeah, 11:30 Eastern, it's gonna be showing. And of course. They changed. They must have put it wrong, and it was actually 10:30 Eastern, or I don't know if I messed it up. So I didn't actually get to see the live one. But anyways, I got the information in the end, which was all that really matters. And the information was that NASA has just released a report that they have officially discovered water on Mars. And it's real. There's really water on Mars. Yes, and
liquid. We're talking liquid water here. Nice.
We're talking. They have pictures of, large. What are the words? Large. What are the big holes in the ground? And
basin, or not
just like
a lake, meteor. Crater.
Crater. Thank you. This is great. Okay, crater. That's the word I was looking for. The crater. So they have a couple pictures of the crater having these streaks coming down the sides, and what they found out is that those streaks are what they are very sure is salt water that has dripped down. And basically, with salt water, when salt's in the water, the freezing point of the water goes way down. So so because of that, they're like, oh, you know what? There's definitely that possibility of, well, first of all, water is there. They confirmed it, and secondly, I mean, because water's there, obviously there could be life there as well, most likely.
Wow.
Which is insane.
That's huge. That's insane. Insanely amazing.
Yeah, I immediately go to the second and third step, which is oh, we find microbes that microorganisms. 2, we start some people get a hold of these and start growing them in their labs into real giant things, you know.
Oh my God.
We have these Martian animals just roaming around, you know. Yeah, but
wow.
Yeah, it's pretty bizarre, and also I think since we know that there's water on another planet, I think suddenly becomes way more conceivable to an extremely scientific mind that there are organisms that are probably very close to who we are on other planets. I mean, that's another large step, but it becomes, I feel like you went from here to here, you know. I mean, you really cut down that possibility to I just feel like there's the percentage goes way up. That's all I was saying with that.
And I don't want to, I don't want to downplay the importance of this discovery at all. But one thing that I had heard is that, Mars does not have an ozone layer, and that is one thing that protects really harsh radiation that's hitting the planet.
Right.
And so it may be difficult for there to be life if it's getting fried, by radiation.
That's true. I think there's doesn't mean
it's not possible.
Right. But. Exactly. I mean, we have on our Earth, and the deepest, have you heard of those? I wish I knew some, but some of those phytoplankton organisms that live at the very bottom of the ocean where like the pressure is like tremendous. There's no light. It's just like the what's the word I'm looking for? I'm losing my words today. It's interesting because I want to talk about words.
It's a very harsh environment. And
harsh.
It may be comparable to what it might be like on Mars.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's what I was kind of getting at. Perfect. So, yeah. So that was the crazy news with that.
Wow.
Kind of awesome.
Well, hopefully we'll stay with this story in the coming days and see, where this goes.
Yeah, and I like too that it was like literally the day after the solar eclipse as well, because I know they say with eclipses, like the meaning behind it, like the theological meaning behind eclipses is that like usually during eclipse season it brings like big changes, and so like on a mass scale, like we had these 2 major eclipses this month, which led up to this this new information about Mars, which is interesting. So I always like making those correlations.
Cool.
But yeah, it's kind of cool.
Did you get to see the eclipse, the lunar eclipse last night?
I don't know about you, but I saw a lot of clouds. I really tried. I went to the top of Mount Benel and I couldn't see anything, unfortunately.
I guess I just got lucky somehow. I went out for a jog around 8:30, and was in a cloudless region and saw it pretty well.
That's pretty awesome.
It was.
Did you see the red moon too?
I didn't see the red so much.
That was like after. Wasn't that? I think that was like later. Or what was that? What time did you go out? Just wondering.
It was 8:30 to 9 was when I saw the eclipse. I'm not sure when the.
I think the red moon was a bit later because I was watching on YouTube. That was like my source for that, like the live channels and stuff like that.
Just watch it on YouTube. No need to step outside.
You don't need to go actually experience nature. No. But I was so bummed because I was like, what the heck? Like I want to have this real life experience and I can't right now because there's clouds. And I just figured, I don't know. Like everywhere we were driving, we did not see it anywhere. So I was just assuming that was just how it was. But I should have called you up and like, dude, where is it? But
I mean, I really wasn't expecting to see anything, but
yeah,
I guess it just makes a difference where you are. I think it was also supposed to be a super moon at some point in time.
Yeah, I think that was the super moon, blood moon. I think that was what came like about an hour and a half, 2 hours later. So I think, but it's pretty awesome.
So, I mean, does that have some significance astrologically? I mean, it must.
I'm sure it does. I don't know specifically. I'm not like I'm very interested in astrology, but I am by no means an astrologer. I know I always forget what a full moon means. I should know this. I honestly should know this, but full moon definitely means something. It usually amplifies energy, actually. So it's like we have these monthly cycles, and so every month, every time we have a new moon, we're going through a new type of energy, and so like the full moon is kind of like that. I would say the culmination point of that. So maybe I'm totally wrong with that though. Maybe that's the middle of the cycle. I'm not sure.
So an eclipse, a lunar eclipse, is where the Earth's shadow blocks out the moon, and it happens fairly rapidly in a short period of time. That was at least what I saw.
Yeah.
But I guess so. What's actually happening? Well, I mean, because there's no moon, like that happens regularly. So it's just,
right.
I guess I just need to brush up on my astrophysics, really.
I know, right? So were you asking about like what happens with the solar eclipse then?
Well, because the moon naturally goes from a full moon to there being no moon in the sky, and an eclipse, there's also no moon in the sky, but it happens more rapidly. So I'm having trouble visualizing in my head what the difference is.
Right.
It's like the same side of the moon is always facing us. So there's a side that we never see.
Right.
because of the sun's light. I'm gonna have to look this up for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, no, it's hard to explain too. I'm actually looking at a picture now. It's yeah, it's just something that you something you have to look into and study and figure this stuff out. But I actually had something interesting that actually correlates with the sun and all that. And have you ever looked into the gematria alphabet? It's kind of
No, I have not.
it's so essentially it's the alphabet that a lot of the occult sciences use, like for instance, the Freemasons. They subscribe to this form of numerology, and it's actually super interesting, to be honest. I actually saw this video. It was a lecture, about an hour and a half lecture by this guy named Marty Leeds, and he does a really good job of breaking down basically his fundamental approach is to merge science and spirituality, which I think is really cool, obviously, right off the bat there. And he says that the numbers are what help us connect this meaning. And so there's this, so essentially there's this alpha. So basically, like, have you heard, like, I'm sure you've heard this before, like the Bible has like specific like codings in it. Like you can kind of decode the Bible and like, and receive different messages from that. Like people have done that. There's like a lot of different like kind of occult texts that you can like decipher like deeper meaning from the words themselves, breaking them down in the numbers. But it's interesting. So this gematria alphabet, it goes 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 6 5 4 3 2 1. So that's basically how they name each letter. So an A would be 1, B would be 2, C 3, B 4, E 5, F 6, G 7, and that goes back down to H6. Basically, so 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 6 5 4 3 2 1. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 6 5 4 3 2 1. So basically, that's how they kind of label each letter. And what's really interesting, this is the part where it kind of merges this kind of spiritual perspective with the grounded aspects of life. If you look at the word Jesus, this is cool because he's bringing all this religious stuff in. You look at the word Jesus, it's basically, if you break that down to numbers, it's 4 5 6 6 6. It's funny that's 666 at the end, which is kind of interesting. But the main focus is that the 4 5 6 6 6. If you were to multiply those letters together, those numbers together, 4 times 5 times 6 times 6 times 6, you get 4,320. And what's interesting about that, 432. So those numbers 432 or 432.0, same thing. Those numbers are highly significant. Have you ever heard of cymatics, the study of cymatics?
I'm a little bit familiar with cymatics, not in the context of occult or, well, I mean, to me, what cymatics is resonance patterns that you see, that sound causes certain vibrational frequencies, and you get these interesting resonance patterns that emerge out of it.
Exactly. So interesting enough, at 432 hertz, it creates the Trinity shape, which has and that goes into that right there goes into a very deep kind of occult understanding, like the triangle, like the Trinity shape has like a lot of deep esoteric meaning within itself. Also, if you look at the Pyramid of Giza, it's actually the ratio in which the Pyramid of Giza. So the ratio in which the Pyramid of Giza is modeled after is 1 to 432,000. 1 to 43,200. That's it. So again, using the 4320 again, and then you look at the radius of the sun is 432,000 miles, and then you also look at, if you look at the speed of light, if you take 432 times 432, you get 186,624, which is like basically the speed of light, like just kind of off, but like slightly off, like 300 miles off, but like basically it. And then you look at, so just I just wanted to break this down because it gets even weirder. The word Christ, if you break that down, Essentially, you multiply those numbers out, you get 18,900. You take the square root of that, you get 137.5. That number is the degree of phyllotaxis, which is the degree at which the entire botanical kingdom grows. So basically, every plant grows at this degree, 137.5 degrees, and that is directly correlated to the word Christ in numerology, which is also, if you see, you know what the Masonic, have you ever seen that logo? Their logo with the compass and the square?
Oh, okay, that seems vaguely familiar.
Yeah, it's kind of like this. They have like a compass on top, which is apparently at 47 degrees, and then they have a square at the bottom, which is at 90 degrees, and those add up to the 137, which is basically phyllotaxis, that degree that we were just talking about.
So didn't Leonardo da Vinci encode that the Masonic thing in the picture of God touching Adam? If you look at their fingers, you can see it makes the way it was. The theory is that was an encoding of that symbol.
I wouldn't be surprised at all, because I know a lot of those artists back in that day took the number, like the number, the sacred ratios of things very seriously. Like when they're painting and drawing anything, that was like a main part of how they did everything very mathematically, which is really cool. And yeah, that was cool too, because he talked about, he's like, well, why would they need to like put everything in numbers? And the reason was because there's people that, didn't want, and basically this science goes into like who you are as like and basically a being of light. That's what it kind of comes down to, that you have a power inside of you. That's like where it all comes down to. You're like this powerful being of light, and that and that's something that people didn't want to get out to the masses, that you have power, that you're a powerful being, that you're a creative force in a sense. They wanted you to think you're a slave. You're a slave. No. At least back then.
So Pete, what's the takeaway from this? I mean, are we to believe that the people that wrote the Bible, included all of this information that they couldn't have really known about in it? Or is there something bigger going on that we don't know about? Maybe some information is being suppressed. What's the takeaway here?
I think that basically, from everything that I've learned so far, is that there is an incredible amount of information that is like right in front of us, just easy for us to see. In our entire English language is essentially built within this system of understanding. That there's basically a deeply encoded secret or message within that. And what that is, that's a really good, and I guess that's it. That's where it's like, whoa, like what is going on? What is like, I don't know, why.
So, I mean, is it English specifically? Because, I mean, English has been really successful as far as go. Would other languages maybe also have these encodings in some way? Is it general to language, or is it specific to English, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
Right. No. I know that a lot of these guys, they bring up like the Latin and Greek roots of a lot of our words in the beginning. So a lot of when we're talking about just like the words, not like interpreting the numerology, just looking at the meaning of words. Like for instance, like if you look at like the word human, hue is like hue of light. Like it's like a light, a light man. Like you're a light being, or like per being like is a word for like in the agency of, and then son, son is, I guess like the Latin roots of that son is also sun, which is the sun. So you're like an agent of the sun. They do switch around like the Latin and the English, but with other like Chinese or like other different languages, that's something that that's a curious question. I was actually talking about someone like that today. They were like, well, does that work with these other languages? And that's a good question.
Because I mean, English is a very interesting blend of, these languages from India mixed with the Germanic languages mixed with
Right.
Latin. So, I mean, it really is kind of unique as far as languages go.
Right. No, it is. It definitely is. Yeah. Yeah, I just find it like absolutely intriguing and something I need to look into more. That's a good question. I'm gonna have to look into that and come back and see if other I'm sure other languages do bring a lot of that kind of. I would assume that they would all have something. It's like when you're creating a language. I'm curious. I'm always curious, like where does that begin, and who's creating the language, and like who's deciding it, and it's kind of an interesting thing.
I mean, I think language is one of those subjects that you can just kind of go deeper and deeper on, and it's definitely interesting.
It is.
So. I don't really have any answers for you. I mean, I've read a few books, but I think a lot of it's mostly conjecture at this point.
Right. Definitely. Yeah. It's definitely it's this kind of stuff, like especially this numerology stuff. It's like definitely seen as a pseudoscience still, and I don't think it will ever not be a pseudoscience until I guess I would say well, and I don't know. I don't know what it would have to happen for that to happen, because I think that you can probably I think you can show like so much evidence of anything, but man, when it comes to like, I don't know, I guess when it comes to when we talk about like Jesus or Christ or these things that are almost like it's like it's just not tangible enough, I guess, in a scientific realm to be like, oh yeah, this all correlates. This is right,
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot about Jesus and Jesus's life that can't really be touched on scientifically, and maybe shouldn't be.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. But speaking of words, by the way, and this is like totally the opposite of going from something that's like deep and esoteric to something that's like totally like not at all, is have you seen the dictionary? Like there's like recently like 35 or I don't know, a couple words added to the dictionary that like just kind of like ridiculous. They added like, I don't know if these are even real though, but like it was like, it's been going around, like they had like the words like bromance and like chillax or like crunk or like words that like are used so often by people that like they're like, okay, this has to be a word because it like has a specific meaning that we don't have yet. I don't know if that's just like a joke, but
well, I mean, language is a fluid thing. It's an evolving thing, and when languages don't evolve, then they die. So maybe that's a good thing that we're changing. Although the other side of me wants to say, oh, that's stupid, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Those are
we're gonna have like
gutter language. I mean,
we're gonna have like in 100 years, they're gonna be like, there's gonna be a guy like me going on like a podcast and being like, so they encrypted the word, decoded the word crunk, and they found that it's like the exact circumference of the entire Earth, and yeah, but
interesting.
That's where we're heading.
So I saw a little news story that caught my attention yesterday, and this happened earlier in September, and the headline is 3 arrested over devil's breath drug, and this sounds like something in a movie, but so this happened in China, and the police arrested 2 women and a man on suspicion of using a powerful Colombian drug known as the devil's breath to turn people into zombies devoid of free will and rob them.
Wow.
So what went down is these I guess vendors in China, or these criminals posing as Chinese medicinal people. They had this powder, and they're trying to, they'll approach like a rich person on the street, and they're trying to sell it to him, and they're telling him it has medicinal properties and benefits and whatnot, and they're just like, oh, just take a whiff of this, and then when they tell them, when they do that, they blow it in their face, and apparently that's powerful enough that once you inhale this drug, you go into like a very susceptible state.
Wow.
And what happened after that is they would take these rich people back to take them back to their homes and like have them unlock their safes and like give them their like expensive jewelry. I think it said it was they stole like millions of at least one guy lost 100,000 pounds in valuables and cash this way. So it's pretty so it's made from a plant called deadly nightshade, which if it's a plant, and if you eat the berries of it, it's highly poisonous. But you also hallucinate vividly in 3D, and so it says that the CIA, or the Soviets and the CIA, reportedly used it as a truth serum during the Cold War, as well.
Dang. I actually saw a movie that like is basically that plot line. And I'll have to think of I'll have to provide the name later because it was kind of a weird name, but it was a pretty intense movie, basically about just like what you said, like people being basically kidnapped through using this drug where they're not even aware that they're kidnapped, but they are. They go back to their house, but for this one, like the guy would literally like live at their houses and just keep them drugged up for days and days and just keep pumping it into them. And
it does sound like something out of a movie.
Yeah.
They said they thought the gang was running a multi-million euro global operation.
Wow, that's insane.
So,
yeah, that's creepy.
pretty scary. Pretty scary stuff.
It's almost October, so it's about that time to start talking about those things now.
So another thing I saw today is CVS is now stocking a drug called naloxone that is effective for heroin overdoses. So if you're
looking for some
you're out on the town and you do too much heroin, then, just stop by your CVS and pick up this antidote.
I feel like that's like, have you seen Mr. Robot, that new show? It's a really good new show. They just finished like the first season, but like he's always talking about how he won't do heroin unless he has like his Suboxone to go along with it. Like it was hard to find Suboxone, so he wouldn't do heroin if he couldn't find it. Now it's like, oh, CVS has got it. Fuck.
Wait, so is Suboxone is that a similar antidote?
Yeah, that's like that's basically what kind of counteracts the heroin, so you don't get addicted.
This is so you don't. So I think Suboxone is so you taper off so you don't get the heroin withdrawals.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to sound like I know everything about heroin.
No, you're yeah, you do.
So I think that's like they have programs for drug addicts so that the withdrawals from these drugs can be very, very bad, and so if you don't have a way to taper off, then you could go into these withdrawals and undergo some serious health consequences.
Right.
This, on the other hand, is an antidote. So if you accidentally, it's like Pulp Fiction. The guy's girlfriend shoots up on heroin, but she thinks it's something
almost
else.
Dies. Yeah.
And so if that had happened now, they could just go to CVS and it wouldn't be so.
Man, problem solved.
Problem solved. But
they should really play that that like in their CVS commercials, like remember that that part in Pulp Fiction that we all know and love.
Right. But this has been heavily criticized because opponents of it say, oh, well, now people are going to be more likely to take heroin.
Right.
Because they're not going to, which is, I think my analysis is that's pretty dumb logic, because it's not like there's not just like some casual person is like, oh, I wasn't going to do heroin, but now I know that that I'll be safe.
Yeah.
I'll just maybe I'll consider it now.
I can see for someone that uses it regularly, how that would probably promote their it wouldn't be helpful to the heroin addicts. So we'll just say that. Like it just gives them. But they're already addicts, I guess, at that point.
Like 44,000 people a year die of drug overdoses. So I mean, it seems like it kind of would be helpful to them.
It's a need. It apparently is a need. It's a need within our society. But yeah, I think that you can bring the greatest thing in the world. Like you could bring like the greatest antidote in the world, and someone would bring up a reason why it's like terrible and should be crucified.
Right. Right. Makes sense to me.
Yeah. But yeah, I get that. That's interesting. That's really interesting though. I did not hear that. I wonder what
they probably don't publicize it a lot.
Yeah.
Because they probably don't want
that's true.
Like the CVS image associated with heroin addicts like coming in at like 4 o'clock in the morning.
I know, right? It's like
some guy's being dragged in by his friend 4 o'clock in the morning to a CVS.
Like, dude, go with the back. Use the back. There's specifically an entrance for you guys. I wonder what Walgreens is going to come up with.
They're going to have to have a
counteractive
kind of competition, like I don't know, cocaine antidote or something.
Yeah, like you tripping? Are you tripping too hard on your shrooms? Here's the antidote. We'll get you right back to where you were. But, I don't know, something like that. But yeah, that's pretty awesome though. Did you have anything else? I think I had one other thing, but if you had something else,
I have. So at our improv last Saturday. This made me think of this. There was a skit where this girl is going to art school, and she's she's having a bad experience because all these pretentious artists are just doing this stupid stuff, and eventually she finds success when a picture that she painted using fecal matter is hailed as the greatest artistic achievement. But so not too far from that was so a few years ago the highest bidding price of a piece of art came about, and it was Jeff Koons, and he is known for his gigantic sculptures of balloon animals.
Okay.
And one of his giant shiny balloon animal sculptures went for $35 million.
Wow.
It was the most expensive piece of art ever sold. Is it like
when you look at it, you're like, wow, like that guy put in a ton of work in this, or was it like, oh wow, he literally just put a balloon and just like attached it to this piece of paper?
No, I mean it's like it's a giant. It's like it's big and shiny, and it's like if you just took a balloon, at a children's party or something, a clown makes a balloon dog. If you just took that and blew it up to where it was, like 30 feet tall and it was shiny and mirrored. So, I mean, it's kind of like, there's kind of like, I guess that's aesthetically pleasing for like 5 minutes. And then it's just like, I just spent $35 million on a giant balloon animal.
I know, right.
But I think the art world is just so, like, it's something that we don't, like, it's hard to understand from an outsider's perspective.
I think that when
you would pay so much money for something like that.
When you have like, this is okay. So this is here's an interesting fact that actually our friend Wasim brought up to me, is that he said that there was a study that went about that said that once you make over 70K, your standard of living does not really go up too much after that. In terms of like your happiness levels, I guess we would say your I don't know what the word would be, but basically your happiness compared to standard of living. Obviously, like if you have like $1 million, you could be living in a mansion, but like after 70,000, like it doesn't. You're not feel like the person that's making 70,000 isn't that much worse off than the person making 500,000. So that's essentially where it's at. They just did a research study on that. But I think that like once you start getting up in that like you're making like million, a couple million a year, you start to perceive money so much differently to the point where it's like, well, what are you gonna do to like, I don't know, what is value at this point? And then it's just like, yeah, like, oh, I have this very like unique, extremely unique from this very unique artist who does like really awesome things, and I decided to pay 35 million for that. It's in my
like I think the criticism of this Coons guy is that it's not all that unique. It's kind of like, I mean, I don't want to say trashy. I mean, but it's like, it's basically this guy is really good at marketing, and he's like, I don't know. It's not like he's Salvador Dali or Pablo Picasso or something like that. Right. It's just a guy that made that like. It's kind of like the Apple. It's kind of like what Apple does. I mean, Apple has great products, but the way they sell it is they make it so much more expensive than the other stuff that it becomes more about the status symbol.
Right.
So, it's like,
it's interesting. I have a couple friends who have startups, and the process of like, like before your business even becomes something, before it's even real, like you can already assess what the value is of that thing. So something that isn't real, you can already create this like value in the millions sometimes. Maybe not even the millions, maybe like in the hundreds of thousands for something that isn't even real. So it's cool. It's interesting. It's cool. It's interesting how words, ideas can create value that is really out of thin air in a sense. So it's interesting. That science, like a science in a sense, the science of perception, I guess we'd say.
Well, I mean, I remember reading somewhere that like the Apple smartwatch cost $85 to make in some Chinese factory, and and they're turning around and selling it for so much more, and what they're selling is they're selling perceptions, like you were saying, but at the same time they're not really adding that much value. Like if you think about Wall Street or something like that, like Wall Street is not really adding value to our society. They are shuffling around pieces of paper and trying to screw people out of their money. I see it as more of a problem, I guess.
I think that's the thing with the world of materiality, and I think that's an interesting topic with what we do, is that like materiality is just an illusion. So I mean, like, and value is an illusion. Like, it really is. It's like, what do you?
How is materiality an illusion?
I guess what I was getting at that is that like
or like the idea is more important than the thing.
Right, exactly. Like how we perceive something how one person perceives something can be completely different to someone else, how someone else perceives it. Like someone could look at someone. What's something like someone could have this just like extremely expensive like rare diamond and have so much value put in that, so much, like this is means everything, and this is their life. This is what it's all about, and then there's another person that like, well, what is that? Let me just, I don't know, whatever,
okay.
Just throw it away.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. So like, I mean, like if you take the example of gold, like it's just a shiny piece of metal, right? But we bestow it with value. But at the same time, gold does also have certain properties that make it useful, for metal. As a metal, it has useful properties, and also just the fact that it's rare makes it in demand, makes it a currency.
Right. I get what you're saying with like the functional purposes, like there's specific resources that have specific value. But like when we're getting into like when we're looking at like just like dollars, like the US dollars that we use and like how much value we put on that, it gets really interesting, especially when we see that like this piece of paper isn't worth anything literally, and we're putting so much value into that, screwing over people for these dollars. Not like we all screw each other over, but like you're saying, in Wall Street.
Wall Street tries to, I think.
I would imagine at some level, but yeah, no, it's an interesting concept though. But
right, because money isn't really worth anything. I mean, it can burn for 2 seconds and then it's done. But at the same time, if everybody buys into the idea of paper money, then money is more valuable than anything that you could buy, because as soon as you buy the thing, then you've given up your possibility of choosing what you wanted to buy, which is worth more than the thing that you would buy. Right.
And yeah, exactly. That's it. It's all about buying into it. And honestly, too, think of if you were like, have you read Lord of the Flies? Like,
well, a long time ago.
Okay, so you're like on an island with like a bunch of kids and like, stuck in this island. You have like a pile of gold there. What's that going to do for you? Like you have a pile of gold there, but like, is that really going to help you? I mean, you might just have this pile of gold and it could be worth like millions of dollars back home, but on that island, it might be worth like nothing because you can't do anything with it.
So we're trapped. Our society is trapped in these false valuations of what's really important. So like, we put work above family, and this create all these so we invest so much in celebrities and thinking that they're like, different and important. It's very interesting.
I think too, like with I think it's always interesting when you start to put the value on yourself instead of the things that are outside of you. I think when you start to really embody that, like the value that you have like internally, then you start to, and I've talked to a lot of people who are very successful, that when that happens, it doesn't matter like what you have in your external environment, because you're like, oh no, the value I have is like right here, and I can lose everything, but I'll get it back because this is just who I am. This is like what I've cultivated within myself. This is like the power that I have, and no one can take that away. And that's kind of that's always a cool perspective, because then it's like no longer about like this money is a representation about what's going on here, but I'm not a representation of this money. It's not like kind of thing.
Right. So like if you had a guy that was a millionaire, earned $1 million, if he lost his whole fortune, chances are if you put him in a different country and he just had to start over, that he would become a millionaire again, because he has that mindset. Exactly. Of what it takes to become that.
Right. He has embodied that that way of living, that way of being, that ability. And it's interesting too, because man, I wish I knew the stat too, but there's a certain percentage of people that win the lottery that end up going broke. Like there's a large percentage. Like if you suddenly get rich, you will. There's a good chance that you will be poor a lot sooner than you think, because you don't know how to manage that. You don't know how to. You haven't learned to like embody that. Become that. But kind of interesting.
So this ties into a topic that I wanted to get to, which is somebody who lived that story, is living it currently, and this guy is John Mcafee. I don't know if you've heard of him. He pops up on the news fairly recently, or from time to time. But I'm sure you've heard of Mcafee antivirus software, or maybe back in the day.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like that annoying program that you always try to close because it slows your computer down.
Isn't that like the one that's like pre-installed like on Windows and just
right.
You're like, God, why is that one? Get that one off. Yeah, definitely.
So John McAfee basically invented the field of antivirus software and founded the company. But he's a really interesting guy. He's kind of an out of the box guy. I think at one point he was like a drug dealer, and then he was like getting his PhD. It was the 60s and 70s, so that
happens.
Wasn't really exclusive. But anyway, so he founds this antivirus company, and he doesn't work for them anymore. He doesn't endorse them. He doesn't use any antivirus protection. He says he says antivirus is outdated and bullshit now. Because hackers will always be ahead of the curve. Anyway,
right.
So he founds this company, and at his peak, he was worth, they say around $100 million.
Yeah.
So that's well over 70,000. That's into the realm of like stupidly rich.
Mega bucks.
He said that people would come to his and when you're that rich, it kind of like ruins your life because everybody that is like asking you for money.
Right. Yeah, you're putting a really when you really think about it, you're like, wow, that's more of a burden than anything. I mean,
so he said people would come to his property and purposefully trip so that they could sue him to try and get his money. He said it's called a trip and fall suit.
Wow.
That happened to him like 15 times. And
did anyone win? Yeah, you look into that?
I don't know. But
can I just say real quick? I heard my mom used to work for this company called Prepaid Legal Services. Have you ever heard of that by chance? It's like basically like you have like on-demand lawyers that like prepaid legal services, that you can call up, ask information about when you're in a weird situation. This guy actually, I don't know if it was through prepaid legal that this happened, but like, anyways, the story was that this guy like broke into someone's house, broke his leg while he was inside the house, like trying to steal things, sues the guy, and wins. Oh, wow. So yeah, one of those. But keep going.
That's why it's important to have a good lawyer.
That's
so he's stupidly rich. He's a smart guy, smart in some ways, dumb in other ways. He was into this like personal hang glider, powered hang glider, excuse me, which is like one of the most dangerous forms of recreation. Like somebody actually died doing it when they were, like hanging out, I guess. But what it is, it's like a hang glider, but it has an engine in it. So it's basically
I've seen those.
You in a hang glider with no protection and a powered motor. So just kind of the most stupid, it's kind of like riding a motorcycle, but like times 1,000.
Yeah, right. And you don't wear like any like parachute.
No, there's nothing protect.
Yeah, that's pretty badass. Like what?
It would be like super exhilarating and like I'm sure it'd be awesome, but then you're like addicted to this like adrenaline sport. Anyway,
Right.
So they're doing stupid stuff like that.
Right.
So my introduction to him was I was in Belize and we were taking a tour of the Lamani ruins, which are these Mayan temple ruins. And we're going down the river, and Belize is like the most beautiful country on earth, arguably. And so we're going down by the Mayan ruins, and our tour guide's like, "Oh, that's John McAfee's house. He's building his house there." It's like this beautiful, like everything's wooden. Like there was no metal in the entire structure, so it just like blended right in to the river and the rainforest and everything. So the story on that was like he quit McAfee. He was done with that and moved to Belize and had pursuits there that he was interested in. Well, Belize was founded by pirates. This is a Caribbean country, and not much has changed since then. So it's basically a country run, very corrupt, bribery is rampant. And so when he got there, everything was going okay, and so the government asked him for $2 million in bribe money. And he's like, well, I'm not going to pay you your bribe. And that's kind of where the troubles began. And so I think he suspected something suspicious, something kind of fishy was going on. And so he said, I won't give you money because you're corrupt, but I will give you boots for your soldiers, and I'll buy you stuff for your school. And I'll just, give you stuff that you can't misuse.
Right.
And so among some of his gifts were laptops for the Minister of Defense's children. And of course, since this is John McAfee, there was spyware installed on the laptops. So he was listening and looking in on these high ups in the Belize government.
Wow.
And found out that the Minister of Defense was involved in one of the largest human trafficking organizations in Central America.
What?
And there's also like ties to like meth labs and all that stuff that's going on in like South and Central America, like the cartels and all that.
I would get out of there if I were him. Like,
right? So, he didn't pay their bribes. They don't like him. And so they're looking for a way to get to this guy. And how it happened was his neighbor showed up dead, murdered. And so they, he became the number one suspect. And another complicating factor is that, this is a smart guy. He's into chemistry. He's doing all this stuff. He was running an antibiotics lab on his property, researching plants from the tropical rainforest, trying to create new medicines from them.
Right.
And so his neighbor shows up dead. That's all the excuse they need to raid him. And so they did. They raided him. Destroyed all of his lab. Froze all of his assets. Shot his dogs. Handcuffed him. Left him out in the sun for 8 hours.
Wow.
And so they were going to take him in for questioning. And questioning in Belize means they hang you upside down with a football helmet on your head and hit you with a baseball bat so your brain turns to mush and there's no bruises on your skull, so they can't prove that they did it.
Wow.
So, these are the kind of people that Pete's like in shock right now. These are the people that he was dealing with. So at this point, he takes his wife, he takes his gun, and he just goes on the run. And he's on.
Wait, I thought they had captured him though.
No, there was a time between when they arrested him and when he somehow escaped. It's a long story and there's a lot of details.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
But
he got away. So he got away from him.
He gets away, and so basically the media portrays him as nuts, as crazy, and he's a little extreme, but he's not crazy. Like, he has all these guns and stuff for protection because he feels like he needs them.
Right.
Because he's got these thugs. So anyways, he gets America on his side. They get him to the U.S. and he's just kind of still has to lay low for a few years out of fear that these hitmen are gonna step off the plane and try and off him because he dug up this dirt on their corrupt government.
Right.
So it's just a very he's just an interesting guy. But like, he would just like be on like CNN and he like looks like he hasn't slept, and he's like, they can't tell where John McAfee is because they're afraid that people are gonna they can't give away his location and all. This has been on for years. Anyways, now he's more out in the open. Of course, governments are still trying to tap his phone, but you can't out McAfee John McAfee, and he has.
Is that his slogan? Like, is that like?
No, I just made that up. But anyways, he says that like the police are constantly trying to tap his phone, and these other shady goings-ons. But he's actually running for president now, and he is conducting
this year.
Yes.
Oh wow, I didn't even know that. Wow.
If you're not tuned in, he's one of the reasons may be that he's running the first all cyber campaign.
Okay, that's cool.
He's starting the cyber party, and so part of his platform for that is our government. We know our government is spying on us. Snowden disclosed this information. We know that that's happening. The NSA. And so our government is spying on us, number one. Right. This is a cyber party platform. And also, they're not adequately protecting us. And so, what he would say is the next 9/11 isn't going to be a physical attack. It's going to be a cyber attack, possibly from China, of hacking in remotely and doing a lot of damage that way. And he says our government's not adequately protecting us from that. So, and he also wants to, he has some other, like information should be free and all that stuff. But, just
interesting. Wow.
One more funny anecdote about John, but when the government healthcare, the Obamacare website first came out, how it failed and it was like a complete failure.
Right.
So apparently the lead software engineer, when that failed, they called John McAfee on the phone and John, can you fix this? We just fucked this up. So he's awesome. He's like the cyber security guru,
go-to guy,
right? But he's all mixed with this crazy eccentric guy. So he's
awesome.
He's somebody to watch.
I'm just curious, when you're on that Belize tour, did they give you a chance to just walk at least on his property just a little bit and just see if anyone accidentally trips along the way and take a picture? Hey, look, I tripped on.
No.
No.
We got to see the Mayan temples, which were cool though.
That's sweet. That sounds amazing.
I wish my house could be right next to the Mayan ruins.
Right? Yeah, I guess that's there's definitely there's a cost benefit ratio there. It's next to the Mayan ruins, neighbors killed next to you and being taken over by the Belize government. But yeah, it's worth it in the end. Seems like things are working out for him.
I think he just kind of likes to live dangerously, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, clearly. That's awesome.
There's also a funny video. It's called "How to Uninstall Mcafee Antivirus." Check it out on YouTube. But it's him, surrounded by these Playboy bunny type women, and him snorting bath salts with through a crazy straw, and he's got all these guns and stuff. He basically did a parody of what the media thinks of him.
It's awesome. I like that he has his own channel. What?
Oh yeah.
It doesn't say I'm looking right now. It's his. Oh, that's interesting. His his profile picture is him with a. At first you think it's a gun, but it's a camera to his head. He's pretty. Yeah, he's definitely out there. That's pretty awesome. That's very cool. Did not know that. New hero to look up.
So he says that smartphones are the number one way that people spy on us now. And so how when you install a new app on your phone, a lot of the times it'll say this app needs to access your contacts, your camera, your microphone, etc. And sometimes you're why would that app really need to access that? And secondly, do I trust the person who made this app?
Right.
And so he has introduced an app called Devasive, which can completely lock down your phone so that your camera and microphone can't be accessed, for one. And then it can also run in the background and tell you when apps are accessing your microphone when they shouldn't be.
Interesting.
It may be, if you're worried about getting spied on, check it out.
I know the Google the Google Chrome application, which I'm on right now, they've said that, and maybe you've heard of this, that there's this glitch that out of nowhere your microphone will turn on for no odd reason, or your webcam will turn on for no odd reason. I've actually had that happen to me multiple times, actually. And it's very odd. I'm like, why is my webcam on? Because mine there's a blue light that comes on when it's filming. And I'm like, why is my webcam on right now? There's no reason this should be on right now. So nowadays I make sure everything's unplugged when I'm done with it. But it's kind of bizarre. You're like, man, weird. I don't know if that's Google Chrome doing that or if that's the webcam, but it's kind of weird. So
they are watching. We know they're watching.
They're watching. John Mcafee's watching us all, but for good reasons.
Well, I'm not sure exactly when we started the podcast.
I think it's been an hour actually. So
okay.
Probably.
Well, this may be a good time to wrap it up.
Sounds good.
Another excellent episode.
It was good talk.
CTZ. We may have some special guests on here someday in the future. If not, more than enough information is here. So check us out. Pete, have a good rest of your evening.
You too, my friend.
I will see you when I see you.
Will do. Peace out.